All right. Hey, any of you guys know who Marshall Tucker is? Do anybody know Marshall Tucker band? Please tell me somebody does. Okay. I just threw some of that in. I was feeling that, but I'm like, I don't think anybody ever even knows who that is. But that's because y'all are babies. I know. Do what? Oh, no, man. Marshall Tucker band he was raw back in the day. All right, man. Hey, it's good to have you guys. Let's pray together, and then we'll jump into some more teaching. Thank you, Father, for the day. Thank you for giving us a good day above ground. Pray that you let the weather continue like it is, and that, Father, you would bless us today. Thank you for food you've given to us. In Christ's name, amen. All right, listen, we are working through very loosely developing leader within you with John Maxwell. I changed a lot of it. I've read. He's got two books, this book and then a 2.0, and they're vastly different. So if you wanted to really know what he thinks, you go there. But I'm giving you not just cliff notes, but better notes. So. Uh, Anyway, so this is where we've been looking. I'm trying to break it down as simple as I can. And so we're using, these are the words he uses in his book. But what I'm doing is taking them and trying to make them simple for us. So if any of you want to be a leader, and this covers any area, right? I mean, like if you want to be a better father, right? These things are crucial. If you want to be better, in your business here, or your work here, or you've got a side thing, or you've got a group that you're with. These things are crucial. Influence is what leadership is, and there's money to be made. Not that that's the reason, but man, the better you learn this, the higher you get in companies, and the better that you're able to function. And so, influence, we break it down into two things, man. It's just learning how to relate to people. This is common sense stuff that everybody should have learned. How to look people in the eye, how to shake your hand, how to ask questions, right? How to have your eyes up and out, so you're not just telling your stories and vomiting all over people and not in circular breathing, so that they don't even know, you don't even get a chance to know who they are. It's not that hard. And then once you get better at your work and you can actually produce results, that's a huge thing. You know, half the world doesn't know how to get results on stuff. They're just punching clocks and wasting time. And so getting results is crucial. And so if you just do your job well, and then you can turn around and teach somebody else how to do it, man, that's huge. Now you're valuable, because now I don't have to go teach somebody how to do something. I got a team that's helping me, and people get paid for that, right? That's kind of the management level of things. And then when you start looking at prioritizing, that's huge. This requires an elite mindset in some sense, because we're talking about how to think better, right? And how to work smarter. And so these all come down to some of the things we talk about all the time: time blocking, right? To-day list. All of these things matter. Order up, just creating order so that you have margin. These things matter. Hey, just cut the crap. Quit doing the things that don't need to happen. Do the things that should happen. And when you add action to it, you're going to get results. And then last week, or 2 weeks ago, we looked at character. Character, again, it's just about owning the fact that you're going to do the right thing. Character's doing the right thing when nobody else is looking, kind of thing. And so that's morals. If you'll just be a moral individual, just don't lie, don't steal, right? Just don't do those things. Don't be lazy. Have character. Be a person of your word, that kind of thing. And then there's some realness to you. You're not trying to play somebody that you're not. You're just real. Realness is big right now. I'm telling you, everybody's tired of people who just fake that stuff through their life. I want a guy that's going to be real with me. If you don't know what you're doing, say, I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me? That will get you further than anything else will. And then once you build trust with people, and those two things will create that, all three of those things together will do that. You're going to be a better individual in every area, and you will be a better leader. So today we're talking about another one. This one to me is one of them that is kind of a sleeper, because we're going to talk about change, positive change, right? We can always create change, right? Anybody, let's just change it up, right? That's like, let's just throw crap on the wall, see what sticks. That is not good change, right? I know a lot of churches, I deal in that world a lot. A lot of churches just try to change things up and see what can happen, and it's bit them in the butt. But this is about change. And so, we all right? Funny thing about change, we all want to change as long as we don't have to, right? I won't change as long as you're not going to make my world uncomfortable. And so these are the things that we're talking about. Mark Twain. Anybody know who Mark Twain is? Yeah. Okay. Good. His famous line was, "People change, but not much." And I found that to be true over the course of my life. Change is hard. People don't like change. If leaders don't create change, problems will create change. And problems suck at leadership. I'm just telling you, they're not a good leader. And so this is why this matters. And so what I want to do is kind of help you think through, what does that look like in your realm and in your world? And you can pick an area. I pick where you work now, pick your family, whatever it is. But we're looking for positive change. Change for just change's sake isn't always positive. But so we're not talking about, like I mentioned earlier, just throwing stuff against the wall. We're anticipating the need for change, and it has what we call sticky improvements, right? Like I want, if I want to change my family over the course of my life, man, I can't tell how many times we call family meetings. Y'all ever have family meetings? You know, anybody ever did? Man, anytime something's going wrong, it's like, hey, family meeting, right? And so we realize we got to shake some things up here. And so I'll make some decisions, and we'll talk through some things. And I'm looking to make some improvements that will have what I call sticky improvements, right? They stick. Not just, oh, we're better for a minute, and then we drift back into old habits, but that we actually came together and decided to make some change. And so positive change is crucial. Um, man, I mean, look at Indiana Hoosiers this year, and you see what they did. That's an incredible thing that took place. They were 2-10, 2 wins, 10 losses, 4 wins, 8 losses, 3 wins, 9 losses, and then Cignetti gets there, and he creates massive change. Right now, he knew what he was doing. He followed the process of Nick Saban, but so he knew what he was doing. But his first year was 11-2, and then 13-0 last year, and I hate everything about that because Bama's not where they ought to be. But that's just life, right? Um, Toyota. I don't know if you have ever studied Toyota and all that. They were the master at the factory lines. Have you ever toured Mercedes or any of these plants? Man, you should. It's an incredible thing to see what happens in this automated world that takes place. And so their goal was, hey, these factory lines, let's keep things moving, right? And so what happens is nobody's going to stop anything because it looks like failure, right? Their habit at that point was keep the line moving, and so there was lots of output, but the numbers were slipping, and the workers are hiding failures because nobody wants to go, hey, I think I messed up. Can we stop this thing and fix something? And so they had built this system, and it was rewarding silence, right? And so nobody was saying what the problems were. And so then Toyota got wind of it, looking at the analytics and everything, and they decided, hey, we need some positive change. So they started this thing called Dakota, which means quality built in. And so they had this, I think it's called the Andon cord, but it was at every station. So if there's something going on and you feel like you need some help here, you grab the cord and you pull the deal. Light comes on, a leader comes over, finds a problem. If you need to stop it, they stop it. But this thing has changed. It was a game changer for everything about how Toyota does what they do. That's a positive change. Sticky habit. People are getting rewarded for stopping the line to make it better. All right. And so I just want you to get comfortable. Change is hard, and so we're not looking for we're wanting positive change. That's what we need around here. Why change is resisted? Well, because it feels like a loss, right? I mean, you lose comfort, you lose routine. Who doesn't love routine, right? I mean, we've been trying to make some changes in the area where I'm helping Chase, and it's like, man, you're in a rhythm, and all of a sudden now you're not, and then you feel lost. But we're making it better, I believe. I hope so. We're working there. Positive change, right? Sometimes it's just it threatens your competence. It makes you feel like you're wrong, right? So we don't like the change. No, we love to go in the wrong direction because we want to be determined that we're right, right? That's how the half of the world lives that way, just doing stupid things because they won't admit to themselves that, hey, maybe I should get some help. And so this is why this thing matters here. And so when we talk about positive change, this is what we're talking about. The other thing it does is it creates uncertainty. If you've ever tried to create some change and do something crazy, you have no idea what's going to happen. We would do some things, and I won't bother you with all the church stories, but we would do some things in church at times, and I'm like, I'm not sure. I think this is going to be a really good idea, but we'll find out in about an hour and a half when church is over, you know. And so once we got in a rhythm, it was good. But man, nobody likes that unknown. Um, Leadership change, it has to happen. It's like a GPS. A GPS isn't punishing you, it's rerouting to make sure you stay and preserve your destination, right? So a good leader isn't going to let us, we can't just afford to let change drive off the cliff. If it's not working, we have to make the turn. Now, the cost of no change, which we talked about earlier, it's like failure, right? We drift. Because without change, everything changes. Nothing stays the same. And if you don't know it, you're going to find yourself by what we used to call behind the eight ball, right? Quality will suffer. Development and innovation suffers. Um, Positive change is fixing things before there's a problem. The more elite mind, the faster you can realize, man, if we keep doing this, what we could do when we were putting out a few products, we can't do when we're putting out the products we're doing now. Change has to happen, and if we don't do it, we're going to lose. You guys ever heard of Kodak moment? You know what a Kodak, right? Did you know that they were the pioneers of digital technology, but their money was in film, and so they said, nope, we're not changing. We're going to keep producing film. That's why you don't hear the name Kodak much anymore, except in memories, right? Because they failed to change. I could tell you story after story of those. Blockbuster movies, how many of you remember those big things? Man, my kids were little. You'd go in there and we'd get that 3 for $5 kind of deal, and you'd pick out all the movies and you get the popcorn and you do all that. Netflix, they were the same. Nobody remembers Netflix in the box stores, but they were box stores. But Netflix realized in a hurry, we're going digital. And so Blockbuster, they're just empty shells of buildings here and there. But Netflix is kicking butt, right? Why? Because they understood positive change. Nokia phones, remember those? Y'all don't remember those. I had a phone that actually you plugged into your lighter in the car and it had a little cord to it and a big old bag you carried, but you could pick that sucker up and you had a phone, baby. It was a Nokia. And then they went wireless in the real sense. Now they're nowhere because they didn't understand what a smartphone looked like. Right? Same thing with BlackBerry. BlackBerry didn't last either for that very same reason, right? And so I'm just trying to help you understand why change matters. If we want to be innovative in this world of stone, we can't just do it the way Jason's great grandfather did it. Now we want to honor all that stuff, but we can't stay there. That's why we have these machines in the back that Jason builds that speeds up a lot of the processes that we're doing when they actually work, right? And so I'm just joking, but we're trying, right? And so this is why this one matters. If there's anything that sets us up as a leader in that world is to get known for innovation, right? So when you become that person, it's a game changer. So let me give you, man, I'm trying to shorten this list down as fast as I can to give you what would be the playbook for making really good healthy change. And so when we're going to do that, here's the first thing about change: you have to make sure everybody else is kind of along. You can't be the lone wolf. So the difference between a martyr and a leader is about 10 steps. You get too far in front of people, they're going to shoot you, right? And so what you have to do is bring people along. So you always start with the why we're doing that, right? Man, I have to do that with my wife. My wife, it's some of this personality type. My wife is a people person, introvert. You don't just go, hey, man, I'm going to tear this wall out of this house and I'm going to add. She freaks out. And so I have to slow roll this. Hey, I'm thinking about doing this, and here's why. Then I don't say anything about it for a few weeks. I'm going to bring it up again, right? Because why? Because I want to bring her along with me. I don't want her sabotaging things or my kids or anything else. And so I've got to bring them along. So the wisest thing a leader can do is start with the why. Never, and it's the same thing in parenting. The worst line you can ever give your kids, and you've received it, because I said so, right? Nobody wants to hear that, and we don't want to hear it in business either, because I said so. No, give me the why. And that's what I need. And so innovative, positive change starts with why. Hey, we're changing the way we do handoffs because of this, right? People need to know the reason why, not just all of a sudden, here's 5 more steps you got to do. No, there's a reason behind that. Or maybe it's, hey, we're adding this step so that, or we're requiring photos to prevent miscommunication. So now we're not just going to do it at the end of the job. That would be what Toyota was messing up. We're going to do it at the beginning. We're going to do it when you put the stone on the slab. I mean, on the staging area. I want to make sure there's no mess in it, right? So if we start making positive changes, though, we need to tell people why we're doing it. And so this matters. Second thing is focus on the pain points, because every change will hurt somebody, right? Because somebody doesn't like change, and somebody's going to be uncomfortable, and somebody's going to feel like, I think I'm drowning. I'm not sure how to do that. Are they trying to fire me? Am I going to get let go? Is AI going to replace? Right? All of those things happen. And so you just want to focus on pain points, right? And so we just talk about the Asana handoffs, or our scope, and clarity with that, right? And the scope of our job, is it well laid out so Justice can understand what that is without having to make 15 phone calls, right? These are the kind of things. So we want to make change to see those things happening. And then here's the third thing: make the first step small. We don't have to leap the Grand Canyon, man. We're just going to take a step. That's all we're doing. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Take a small step in that direction. We don't have to complete the whole change immediately. We can take steps. And here's the thing too: communicate early and often. There's a old saying in church world: vision leaks, right? And it does here too. People. That's why you hear us talking about a lot of vision. A lot of times we're going to keep hitting values and habits and all those, because we forget those things. And so as you're making change, keep reminding people of why we're making change and what's going on, and then make sure we create early wins. We should celebrate those things when we did something well, right? And hey, that change worked. Let's celebrate that, because that then creates momentum, right? And so these are the things that I think are crucial in this one realm. And so I'm going to leave you with a challenge. I think you just need, here's what I want you to do, because this will let you do all of these: proactive eyes, brave conversations, and just taking steps. Go into whatever team you're on, and pick one small positive change that you think you could lead, right? That would. Now listen, here's the other thing. You can't do this if you don't have margin, because thinking about change takes margin to have time to think about change, right? Sometimes we're faced with it, there's a failure. That's the worst way to create change. Oh, because we failed. The better way to do it is because we're proactively anticipate, how can I tweak that? How can I make that better? You know how many times Jason and I have conversations about that. He's working on some things here, and he's not ready to let everybody know yet, because he's trying to get it better, right? That's the process, right? He's wanting to make sure his challenges. I know what needs to happen. I'm working on it, but I'm not ready yet. I want to think through some more, and then maybe he asks a few of you and some others, and then he begins that process again, right? That's how you create change. And so all I'm saying is, you probably already know that there's an area in your team that could use some change, or somebody in the team ahead of you, and all that stuff's rolling downhill, right? And so you want to say, hey, if you could stop doing that, I wouldn't stink like I do, right? And so if you think you can help the team, you understand we do have that, right? I mean, we have clients and customers here. And so it usually always starts with sales, and then it moves along the path downward until it gets to you, where you start, and then Aaron ultimately where you start taking it out, or Daniel when you start installing it. And so if we don't do a good handoff at each one of those things, we're in trouble. So just the challenge is just this: in your area, if there's somebody up ahead of the waterfall that needs some change, think about it and help them figure that out. Or if it's in your own, because you don't like what you're tired of getting yelled at from somebody down there, well then you fix it. All right. Hey, that's the challenge. Go make it happen, man. We'll have some more conversation next Tuesday. Enjoy some more jambalaya. You bet.